Welcome to Jazz After Dark, everybody. How you doing? All is good. It is nighttime here. We genuinely do make these at night. It's like my favorite time, man. It's quiet. You can get some thoughts in. The kids are sleeping. You could choose. You want it to be a wild night. You want it to be like a jazz music, cocktail kind of a night. Man, just get all the weather's usually better. You can, yeah, if you get cravings for snacks, you get those at 8 o'clock in the morning. No, I don't think so. Those happen at night. I'm a night person, man. If you ever get an email from me in the middle of the night, that's true. Yeah, that's not a mistake. That is actually me. But so we're here doing this thing called Jazz After Dark. And sadly, I'll be drinking water with you here tonight because we don't have any limes. I have the greatest drink that I made the other night. We only have one lime. It's called the Millionaire. Oh, it's so good. I had it years ago at this restaurant I used to like. It's got slow gin in it. The trick is you got to put Diplomatico rum in there. It's so good. So anyways, I'll make one of those tomorrow. Tonight, we got to talk about the old IRS. Don't you love them? You know what I mean? Like they just like making stuff up as they go. Well, the past couple years, that is true. And it's not really their fault. The government comes up with the Secure Act, the CARES Act, Secure Act 2.0. We had COVID, and so there's all these different things happening there. And the IRS is like, oh, all right, well, the government came up with these rules, but in reality, there's more to it that they have to implement. For example, the 10-year rule in the Secure Act, they said, if you inherit an IRA, you no longer can wait. You can't stretch those out over your lifetime. You used to have the choice. You would say, well, I just take the money. If I inherit something from my Uncle Dave, I could take the money. I could stretch it out over 5 years, or I could just sort of withdraw over the rest of my lifetime in most cases. And the Secure Act comes out and they said, yeah, we're going to get rid of that. Tell you what we're going to do. 10-year window. That's the furthest you can go. 10 years from an IRA, you got to start taking the money out. And so we all thought like, all right, you got 10 years. Fire at will. Take your money out as you want. And then the IRS was like, no, we didn't interpret the government's, Congress's rule to mean that. We thought it meant that you had to take a little bit out each year, like 1/10, right? And so then that's still not really decided actually. So they're making stuff up, right? But there's some things, and over time they come out with guidance. And you can actually see it on their website. But occasionally they come out with guidance and they say, all right, look, there was some confusion here. This is what's going to happen. And they clear it up. They guide you to pay your taxes. Well, as it pertains to RMDs, there was a lot of guidance driving me crazy here. Like this spot right here, little bald that's going away there, that's like 20% the IRS there. So let's talk about it. All right. And if you don't know what RMDs are, you're probably okay. If you're right around the age of 72, 73, you probably have a lot of questions. And if you're anything over 73, you probably have no questions. 70, you'd be 74 now. It's probably not a big deal. But if you're younger, take a look. This is how these things work. So the Secure Act 2.0, that's what they called it, said that RMDs, they got to start when you're 73 now in 2023, right? So it used to be 72 and they make it 73. It goes all the way up to 75. And they said, well, we'll give you some time to adjust. Well, if this is the first year you're supposed to take RMDs, the IRS just said, forget it. Don't worry about it. If you take it, that's fine. But if you don't take it, don't worry about it. We're just going to pretend this didn't happen. They waived the RMDs. Now you can imagine from a financial planning standpoint, oh, that's frustrating, right? Because what happens, you had an IRA, had $1 million in it. And you said, well, I got to start taking RMDs. We did the calculations. You take out a whole bunch of money because you now think you're supposed to take them out. When you took those RMDs out, you had the chance or the opportunity to withhold federal taxes, state taxes, if that applied. And so you were left with a check of whatever it was. You put it in your bank account, you go about your way. Now that's taxable money. And so the government comes along now and they say, don't worry about it. Okay. But I took the money, right? So a bit of a problem there. We'll work through that here in just a second, tell you what you can do. The trouble is, you decide you're taking this money out, you're doing the right thing, and all of a sudden your tax bill goes up. Maybe you get now extra taxes on Social Security if you're already taking that. You may find yourself with the IRMA surcharge. And so you're like, okay, that doesn't really work there. So here's what they did. And this is just directly from them. This is not my opinion. This is, in fact. They said, well, there's this thing called the 60-day rollover. We're just going to give you more time to do it. So how this works, if you ever, and over your life you may have done this, if you ever have accidentally taken money out of your IRA, or you took it out and you said, I was going to buy something with it, the deal fell through, I'd like to put the money back. You have what's known as a 60-day rollover period. It is the worst name that they could have applied to this because most people think rollover, right? And that was what it was intended for. But what this basically means is you're allowed to say, my bad, I took the money out. If it's within 60 days of the date of the check, you put it back. No harm, no foul. Nobody cares. Doesn't count as a contribution. No worries. If you had tax withheld, you put the tax back as well, and you don't have to report that on your tax return. Now, you can imagine we're sitting here in September. Many of you are like, well, I'd like to do right. I got to take out my RMD. Let's say you took out $50,000 from your RMD, or as your RMD. That's a lot. So that's all taxable. I might have bumped you into a new tax bracket. Could have caused all sorts of problems there. Well, the government says, yeah, we see that. We're going to give you till September 30th, 2023 to put it back. So even if you took the RMD out in February and you said the guidance just came out, what was this, like 2-3 weeks ago? Guidance comes out from the IRS and they said basically just put it back. Right? Now, if you're with us, if you're working here, if you're one of our clients here at Jazz Wealth, I need to know about that. You can't just go put the money back, right? And this is where the confusion happens because the brokerage firm, Goldman Sachs in our case, sent out notices saying you got to take your RMD. I picked on you and said you got to take your RMD. Now the IRS says he was wrong. Let's just put it back. But now when you put the money back, keep in mind that the brokerage firm has already prepared to give you your tax form that says you took out $50,000. And so if you put it back, I need to tell them, this is going to create all kinds of fun. I need to tell them that was the RMD. We're putting it back as a part of the new 60-day rollover rule that's good until September 30th. We're going to put it back. Don't tax them. Don't send them a tax form. And please allow this to be accepted back into their account. Yay, right? So that's what's going on there. Now, the question many of you will likely ask if you're watching this is, should I put the money back? Well, I'm not a client of Jazz Wealth. I'm just out here watching this video, getting the tax updates on the RMD rule. Should you put it back? Number one, did you need the money, right? If you needed the money and this is a part of your life and your yearly, meeting your yearly expenses, then do it. If it's not, then we're going to go this way. Right? So if you need the money, yes, keep it. Don't do anything about it there. If you're not, then the first thing I'm going to ask you is, how large was that distribution? We're going to go back and look at it. And if you were asking me just in the comment section, how large was it? Okay. From there, we've got the number. Tell me about your taxes. The one sort of cool thing about this is that we have until September 30th. So if you took your RMD in February, okay, well, now we definitely know what your income looks like. Let's say you made some other money somehow, Social Security's coming in, whatever. Well, now we know, we've got a good idea of what your income's like. Maybe we can really work the system there and sort of play some games there so that you don't have added tax on Social Security. You don't fall subject to the Medicare IRMA surcharge if you are not taking it yet. We're looking 2 years back, remember? So a little bit of a trick there. And so I just wanted to point that out, a little bit of a pain in the, so something to consider there. The last part, where's my notes? The last part is with inherited IRAs. So inherited IRAs, we still don't know exactly. We have opinions on what we think the IRS is saying, but the IRS said, we'll get to this, right? But we still don't know exactly if you have 10 years or if every single year you're supposed to take something out. The IRS has admitted this, and they don't admit stuff, but they basically said, To combat some of that confusion until we can issue further guidance, we're going to waive inherited IRA RMDs for 2023. In other words, RMDs almost as a whole, skip them. Right? They're saying you could just skip it. Now, if you were already taking RMDs, this does not apply to you. You had the COVID years where they said skip the RMD, but this does not apply to you. Okay? If by chance they change the rules again at the last second and you don't have time to take your RMD, well, unless say they change their mind and they say you have to take it. There used to be a penalty of 50%. Not one single one of my clients has paid the 50% penalty for doing this because the IRS is pretty lenient on this. You have to basically show that you willingly saw you were supposed to take it and you still turned your head and said, no, I'm not going to take it. They'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Now, the penalty now is 25% on the books. Okay? It's actually 10%. Wait, Dustin, you just said 25%. Yeah, the law says 25%. The IRS says it could be 10%. And we'll still allow you to ask to have it waived. Oh, God. You know what I mean? You think investing is hard? Try to keep up with these people here. Okay, last thing. If you took your money out of a 401k as an RMD, remember, Roth 401ks had RMDs as well. Not starting next year, but up to this, we're not talking about next year. So for the moment, you may have taken RMDs from a Roth 401k, not required in a Roth IRA. You may have taken RMDs from, most likely, your regular 401k, your regular TSP, your regular 403b, your regular 457, right? The taxable portion. If you go to put the money back, there is a good chance that that company, the custodian, the plan administrator in this case, says, no, you can't put that money back. You see, because they're all working their algorithm, they're all like recoding everything to say, oh my God, the rules were this, we did that. Now the rules are this, right? So they're all coding this. They may say, we don't have a way for you to put the money back. I'm sorry, you can't do it. If that's the case, the 60-day rollover applies to an IRA as well. If the money came out of a TSP and for whatever reason they won't let you put it back, I don't think they're one of them, but I just said TSP, so I'm going to go with that. If they said, no, I'm sorry, you can't put it back. We know the 60-day rollover rule is up until September 30th. We just can't accept it back. I'm sorry, you're going to have to take it. And you've determined with me, with Eric, with your planner, whoever you're using, that you need that money to go back because you'll be in a lower tax bracket next year. You're in a higher one this year, and it'd be really great if they take it back. You simply just do the 60-day rollover with the September 30th exception to an IRA. If you don't have one, you're allowed to set one up. If you already have one, you can use that one. It doesn't have to be a special one. You could put it back. That will do two things. It's going to make it a little bit tricky at tax time. You're going to show, oh my gosh, I took money out of my TSP. The TSP is reporting to the IRS that I took money out. But I have the 60-day rollover to my IRA, and you will have that as well to back you up. You will essentially say, I didn't take the money out. So this was not one of these Jazz After Darks where it was like really simple and like, oh man, step one, go start yourself an emergency fund or whatever. This one's a bit frustrating because there are a lot of moving parts. Some of the moving parts are, oh wait, you inherited an IRA from a long lost friend who was already taking RMDs. Okay, that's totally different. Or, oh, you inherited your IRA because you're Jimmy Buffett's wife, and sadly, Jimmy Buffett, passed away, and so you're the wife. Oh, nope, separate rules for you, right? But you inherit an IRA from your grandmother, and you're like, I don't know, thank you, but I don't know what to do. That's what we're talking about tonight, right? Inheriting IRAs, or if you have 401ks and all that stuff, and you've been trying to determine, do I take these RMDs? What in the world is going on? I hope I didn't confuse you. I hope that provides a little bit of clarity, and if you need help, you know where to find us. This is one where I'm like, this video is marketing, but you know what? If you just kind of like me and you just want to watch these videos, but this is not the reason you join Jazz, selfishly, I'm like, you know what? Let's, because that's a lot of work, man. But we're willing to help you, of course. We're here. I'm joking, of course, and I'll wish you a good rest of your evening. We will see you again. Adios.